So I'm just going to show you a few things to look for when buying shoes, and a few things that shoe companies need to fix with their shoes that I have a problem with. So it's just going to be a quick video. So if you have a look at this, it's a pretty nice looking shoe, but there's a few issues with it. The first would be around the heel. There's not enough padding around the heel here, so you end up with like blisters rubbing against this little bit here because there's no padding. And the second issue is, if you look on the side, there's no stitching to hold this together, alright? So that means each time the toe bends, eventually it's going to weaken around where it's bending. So an example is this cheap Kmart shoe that I got. It also doesn't have the stitching around the end here. So they're similar looking shoes, neither have the stitching, but if you have a look around the heel, this one's got way more padding around here. So for the cheaper shoe, it's actually a better buy. It's got the padding, and they're virtually like the same shape and everything, except this is laces, this got no laces, but this has the padding. So they still have problems, especially because there's no stitching around the edge. And then you have this shoe as well, which is like the previous ones, also no stitching around the edge, and this is by DC, so it's a good company. It does have the padding, which is a bonus, but the problem with this shoe is, if you look closely, this material here, it's like almost like plastic paint or something. It's like a paint coating, and over time, if you have a look on the other side, that all comes off. It all just chips off like chipped paint. So avoid shoes with that kind of plastic on them. Okay, so what you do want to look for, this is an example of the perfect shoe here. You see it has got the stitching around the edge. This stitching is what's going to stop the toe from basically splitting and coming apart. And it does have the padding as well, which is perfect. So that's a perfect shoe by Etnies. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to show you what happens with the toe after time as it bends. You see here, the sole is kind of coming off from the material, and then water will get in there, and eventually your shoe's just not going to last if that keeps getting worse and worse and worse. That's why you got to stitch it, and it holds everything together. So yeah, if shoe companies can manage to fix those issues by putting stitching along here and actually having a good padding along the heel, and they don't use that cheapo paint plastic stuff, then basically it'll just make the quality of shoes better. So that's what you can avoid buying in shoes, and what you want to look for is something like that, the perfect shoe. Doesn't have to be that shape, as long as it's got the stitching, the padding, and a relatively strong toe that's not really going to bend too easy. Peace.